Hello everyone and welcome to the first LightWave tutorial from us here at LightWave Digest. My name is Cageman and I'm going to talk obviously about NRC. So, I'm actually going to install NRC to actually use it with LightWave 2024.1.0. So right now I'm just going to show you a little bit how it works when you have installed it, and then I'm actually going to show you how you actually set this up for success. So let's start up light layout here first, because there's a couple of things that I want to talk about here. And of course, when doing things like this, it's very good. It's a very good idea to actually prepare a very, very lightweight content that doesn't take lots of time to render, just to make sure that it actually works. So I prepared a content like that. It resides on my X drive, and I'm going to go in more about this sort of stuff later on. But yeah, let's just load this scene file here. It's on my server, so I'm going to load it. And just a simple cube here. Actually, it's actually not even an object. It's actually a shape here. I have this object is the ground, which is a shape of the plane that you can see here, and my other object is this cube that is just null with a cube shape on it. So if I hit F9, it renders as it should, right? And if I do an F10 here, it should output stuff as well. So let's do that. Okay, so if I bring this one in here, we can see that those frames that were rendered came out and landed in this folder here. Is it working? And it has a name here. But if I go up one step, you can see, well, let's actually remove that, because that is something that when you use NRC, it will actually create this folder for some reason, but then it also creates the proper folder. So if I go into render and render properties here, on the output, I've set it to output here, and you can see the %scene%. That means that it takes the scene name, in this case, is it working _lightwave 2024. It puts and actually creates a folder for that. But when you use NRC, it also creates this %scene% folder as well. And then here on base file name, I have %scene%, and then the number of digits to give the file name, the name of the scene file name as well. So all of that is working. No problems. So here's the thing. Under render, you have something called send to NRC. So if I click on that, oh, okay, I need to save because I modified some things, okay. And then I say send to NRC. So the queue path is correct because this is my main machine and this is where I will run NRC from. But the rest of the stuff is going to be stored on my server or NAS drive or whatever. We will talk about all of that setup later. Output path, actually just do this, just delete anything there, and I'm not using framing either, so just make sure output path is empty and then click OK. Now my expectation is, oh, NRC should start, right? It should start up and all of that. No, it doesn't do that. So let me go here and start the NRC controller, and here you can see that the file here, the scene file, is submitted. But for some reason, I cannot start this render. I'm not sure why that is. I will actually delete or remove the scene here, because we have a proper setup here. And again, I will show this later, how you install all of this and make it work. So a couple of things here to think about. So obviously, if you don't have the NRC controller running, sending a scene to NRC will just not work for some reason. So if I go back to LightWave now, and click on the same button, send to NRC, I'm just going to delete that and hit OK. Now, if I go back to NRC, we can see that this scene file is submitted, and all the nodes are picking it up and it starts to rendering here. Okay. Now, for this to work, there are a couple of things that you need to do. So if I stop the renderer now, so if I go to view and preferences here, for this to work properly, some of these, when you install these, some of these are not clicked or ticked. So make sure that you tick these guys. Otherwise, it's just not going to work properly. And then sometimes when you set this up, if you go to nodes, make sure that you enable use Bonjour services to discover nodes. Without this one, you might not see the nodes. So if you don't see the nodes, click this one and do a rescan or restart or whatever, and it should pick up the nodes. So here's the thing. So when you are, if you want to submit things from LightWave using this button here, send to NRC, it's very, you should actually start NRC controller so you have it up and running. But from then you can just send to NRC, right? Another way to actually also render NRC or using NRC is to, oh, I was here. Okay, cool. So now you see that NRC actually created this scene% folder, but it's just an empty folder. Doesn't matter, right? If you go to scenes here, oh wait, I need to have NRC open here. Another way to submit is to just do a drag and drop like that, and it will figure things out for you. So it's again, this tool is extremely basic. It's not like I mean, there's so much potential for this tool to actually become fantastic to use. But right now, it does what it says on the tin. But other than that, don't expect too much functionality out of this. This is not like a proper render management controller, but for batching out scene files and using more than one computer with using the native render engine, this actually works quite well. Let's stop this render now and just remove the scene. Oh well, I have to do that. But this is the way I have managed to get this to work, and it works really, really well. So now that you have seen that I have gotten this to work on these 3 machines, I'm actually going to go through the setup, and during that setup, I actually also had a 4th machine, and for some reason that failed, and I will explain why later down the road, because this is essentially, I'm actually recording this intro before or as the last thing. I have already done all of this, recording everything, and now I just do the intro here so that you can see what to expect after watching this full tutorial. So yeah, there we have that. So first of all, the most important part is that you have either a computer or a NAS server, NAS drive, that all the other computers can access. That's number 1. And number 2 is, it's important that you, in this case, I'm using drive letters. A lot of people don't like that. They actually use UNC paths. I have not had problem, at least here at home, using drive letters. So that's what I'm going to do because it's the easiest way to set this up. So you have a computer or a NAS, and all the other computers should mount the same thing on the same drive letter. So for example, you can see I have the X here, and that is essentially my encoding server, which is my file server. It has a folder called production on one of the hard drives, right? And that is where I have, and that is what is mounted as X on this computer. But not just on this computer, all other computers that I have at home mounts the same folder as X. Okay? And this is a Windows tutorial, by the way. I don't actually know how to set this up on the Macintosh. So that is, you might watch this video and say, oh, he's doing that's, oh, so, and you can translate what I'm doing in Windows to your Macintosh if you have several Macintosh machines that you would like to use. But that is, I don't know how to set that up. So, so that's the first thing you need to to set up and have a share where you. So, for example, I have a lot of stuff in my on my X drive. You will see some of it, because I have a lot of secrets that I don't want you guys to see. But you will see the most important things for you to actually be able to follow this tutorial. So that's the first thing. Okay, so I have that. The second thing is, okay, how do I get NRC to work? Well, and here is where things are a little bit problematic, I would say. This is something that is not easy, but once you have done this a couple of times, you will know, oh, it's not that hard either. It's just one of those things. It's a bit different mindset here. It's not just a click of a button or things like that. It's a little bit more involved. So I'm going to, and I'm using Directory Opus here, by the way, which is fantastic file management system. So the first thing you need to do is to install LightWave. In this case, LightWave 2024.10, right? And I do custom installs because I want to have a lot of control over it. So if I go in here, we can now see that I have a config folder. This is also customized. Just so that I know exactly where the files are and it's easy for me to back up and all of that stuff. So I don't actually install into the C programs, whatever, because yeah, I find this much easier because I really like to have the control as well over all the stuff that I'm doing. Okay. So I need to copy a bunch of things from this installation now to my X. So let's do a like that. And we can see now that we are in X software LightWave. You will not see a lot of the things here because it's actually going to be censored. But one thing that you should be able to see is that there is LightWave 2023.00, or you can see these underscore NRC folders. You should be able to see those. So if I go into, let's say, 2023, you can see that I have a bin and a config folder, a support folder, and a shortcut to layout. Okay. So let's head back. And here I'm going to copy this name. Actually, I'm going to go here, copy this name. And here I'm going to create a new folder, underscore NRC, like that. Okay, let's jump into the NRC folder, which is now an empty folder. And let's go into the LightWave folder here, where I actually installed LightWave locally. So this is the local drive, the D drive on my machine. Here's the network share. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to copy the bin folder and the support folder. So let's copy those. And I minimize this because now I also want to create a new folder here called config. But yeah, let's wait for the copy to finish. Okay, so everything has been copied. So what I'm going to do now is to create that shortcut for LightWave, because it's important that you do this in order. So we are now on the X software LightWave 2024 NRC, as you can see here. Okay. So we copy the files. Now we need to set the configs up for this to work. But before I do that, I have a bunch of third-party plugins that I also want to NRC to know about. So I go into the support folder here, and I'm going to go into plugins, right? So these are the plugins that comes with LightWave currently. And I have third-party plugins like EXR Trader, Infinimap, you know, all the DB&W stuff from Michael Wolf and Dagmar, right? So I'm going to go to the X folder here, and it will be very censored here. I'm going to go down to software, and under software, I'm going to go into LightWave, and under LightWave, I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says plugins well, I go in here. So I'm now in X Software LightWave Plugins 2024 shared. Okay. I'm now going to create in this folder here for the NRC, I'm just going to create a new folder here called third party, like that. And jump into that one, and I'm going to copy these files over. So now that is done. Let's go back up here. And now if I hold down, this is very nice with the directory opus. If I hold down Control and double click this bin folder, it actually opens that bin folder on this one. So now we are inside this bin folder, right? Because I want to create that layout shortcut here. So I'm going to hold down the right mouse button, drag over here, release, and then create shortcut. Now, with that done, I can now close this just so that we are not confused. I'm going to go into this config folder and copy this path like that. Now I'm going to right click on this shortcut, go properties. I make a space and then a dash and then a small c, which stands for config. And then without any, I just paste it, no space or anything, just paste in that path and hit OK. So now I've said that when I start this particular layout, it's going to store all the config files in here, right? And we are on the X, as you can see here, top here. Okay. Let's double click this one. And the first time you do this, it's going to take a bit of time because it's like figuring things out. And the thing is that it's going to complain that I don't have a license, but that is totally fine. That is totally fine. This one is layout. This shortcut is essentially only there for adding new plugins that you need for the network rendering to work. For example, if you, let's say you don't own EXR Trader, then you buy EXR Trader. You want to add that so that you can use it with NRC. Then you need to open this particular shortcut. Okay, so if I go back now to directory opus and go into config, we can see that it generated some stuff here. Perfect. Everything is by the book right now, so far at least. Okay. So I go to edit plugins, scan directory, and it automatically actually finds this folder here. And it wants to scan this plugins folder, which contains the third party folder. If I just maximize this one, you can see I have the third party here. So that's perfect. So I'm just going to hit OK and wait for this to be scanned. Okay, it says there that it finds 3,343 plugins in 1,486 files. Okay, done. And then I close this so that it actually saves these configs. So I just close this. So now you can see that I have the LV external. So if I open this, you can see now that it finds all these plugins on the X drive, whatever, right? Perfect. That's what we need. So now we have essentially set this up. So if I now go to the D drive again, where I have my original install, I go into this. You can see that I have two things there. I have the NRC controller and I have the NRC tasker. The problem right now is that all of my machines are actually running LightWave 2020 version of NRC. And they are actually running that on startup. So I need to actually deal with that before we continue in the next part, where I will continue this and actually make NRC work on my network. But I need to actually turn off NRC on all my other computers, because if I open the NRC controller right now, it will list these guys, but they are all running 2020, not 2024. So that's why I need to fix this. So now it's time to actually install NRC on all your slave computers. In this case, I've remote desktop to my workstation 1. You can see that I have 2020-03 was the last version I installed on this one, because I don't use this one more than a render slave. And it's time for me to upgrade it to 2024-10, right? So I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to call this LightWave 2024.1.0 underscore NRC, just so that I know that this is only NRC installation. It's not a full installation. Okay, so I have that there. Now, if I go down here, because this one showed up right in NRC tasker or in NRC controller. So if I go here, I can see here I have the 2020 version of NRC running. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to deselect start at login. That's very important to do that, because when I log into this computer, I don't want it to default to 2020. I want it to default to 2024. So I go here again, I right click and I say quit. Because that's another thing. If you have NRC running, you can't install any new version of LightWave. It's going to complain that something is LightWave related is running. So make sure that that is turned off if you have used this before. But I guess most people have not gotten NRC to actually work on their computers. So that is what this tutorial is about. So everything's clean on this one. And I have the 2024 installer. And I'm going to run this as an admin like that. Welcome, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next. I agree. Next. Next. And I don't want to install it here. I want to install it on my D drive. Right? So select this folder. Perfect. Let's go next. And here is very important. You don't have to do the full installation here. The only thing you need to install is the render node. So click on the render node and then go next. You don't have to fiddle with this. I have never tried fiddled with setting this. I just go by the default setting here. Just keep this to no and go next. And it's going to be called Workstation 1 NRC servers. Perfect. Next. And next. And now it's installing the things that it needs. So again, this process is something you need to do on all your render slaves for NRC to work. But it's simple, right? Okay, so a couple of things here. You can view the README file if you want to. I deselect that, but you want to keep this one. Start the network render controller service. So go make sure that this one is still ticked and then finish. Okay. So now this is also important. If you go here, you can see that, oh, it's running, right? Right click, it thinks that this is a, okay, so now it's fixed. So let's just go here and right click on this one and make sure that you enable start at login. So you don't have to, so that it will always run when this computer is logged in, right? So start at login, tick that, make sure that is ticked, cool. So now I've upgraded this particular machine to run 2024 NRC. Okay, so we have now prepared all the stuff on the X drive regarding the files that NRC needs to read for all the computers. we have installed the render node on all the machines, NRC controller, because this is the last thing. Okay. So right now we need to define the config directory and the shared plugin directory. And that is what we did earlier. And that's why I copied the files and then created the custom config and all of that stuff to the X drive, right? So I'm going to click here and I'm going to find that folder, software, LightWave 2024 NRC, and we have this was the config. So I'm just going to I'm going to copy this because I'm not sure if NRC will remember this path, so I just don't have to, you know, find it again, so to speak. So I will select that folder. So we have that, and then here I want to change that to the support folder. Yeah, it actually remembered where we were. So okay, so now we have that. And then to test this, well, here's the thing. Right now, you can't validate the environment for some reason. That is where I now can take, is it working 2024, right? I just drag and drop it from my other screen in here. And now it starts to give me some errors here. Okay, I will go into what is going on. But as you can see, it finds the content directory, and it finds also the output folder. And if I go in here and go to renders, we can see again, for some reason, NRC creates this empty folder that is called this, but then it also creates this folder, and here are the frames. So NRC is now working, we can see, but Music 2 doesn't work. Why is that? Well, Music 2, because now we can see that we have validated environment. So if I click on the Music 2 and it says, oh, it doesn't work, right? And I validate the environment, we can see that it finds all the stuff. If I click on this one, validate environment, we can see, well, it's green here. It's not green on the music server or music. However, the reason why this happens is because Music 2 is actually running Windows 7. Windows 7 is not supported anymore by LightWave Digital. You need for LightWave 2023 and up, you need Windows 10 or Windows 11. Windows 7 is no longer supported. So that is why Music 2 does not work. So that is also an important thing to think about. You need to have Windows 10 or above for NRC or the new version of LightWave to actually work on the Windows side of things. So keep that in mind. But as you can see, the rest of the nodes are doing fine. So there's that. So I hope that this tutorial actually helped you to set up NRC on your home systems. If you have more than one computer, why not? So cheers, everyone, and thanks for watching. And, well, post in the comments if you actually need more information or help. We can probably set up like a Discord session where you can share your screen, and I can probably help you troubleshoot if you actually have problems setting this up. So just contact me on lightwavedigest@gmail.com, and we can probably work something out. Cheers, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.